Josh Jones along with that and as well. So there's going to be, of course, some polishing that will be needed there for the Cardinals. And, Josh Jones was also a team captain. So, but the team has a lot of potential, especially with these new additions.
Absolutely. And, Paul doesn't want to give grades, but I'll give this draft class a name, the Groupons, because the Cardinals got some deals, man. They got some major value, and they got guys that would drop right into their lap, like you mentioned. And, Simmons falls to 8. Josh Jones falls to the 3rd round. This guy was a late first-round pick. Evan Weaver, the guy had 182 tackles at Cal.
Yes.
They picked him up in round 6. Benjamin in round 7. Those are 4 guys right there that are coming to camp, coming to the Cardinals with a chip on their shoulder saying, I should have been drafted higher, and I'm going to prove everyone wrong, and I'm going to prove the Cardinals right. And that is a great problem to have if you're the Arizona Cardinals, because they really did get excellent value. And it's almost like one of those days where you're like, yeah, man, everything's just going my way. There's no traffic. I'm getting all the green lights and blah, blah, blah. I think that's how this draft was for the Cardinals, where everything fell right into their lap. It was just amazing. Like Simmons, no mock draft had Simmons going down to 8. So that was fantastic. They were just like, well, what? He's there? Take him. Done. So I just think this really played out really well for the Arizona Cardinals. And it also goes back to, again, their offseason. And I think the Cardinals' best pick, which is the steal of the draft, was the 2nd-round pick. And that's the pick they gave to Houston for DeAndre Hopkins, who's a 4-time Pro Bowler already.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, agreed. Let me ask you 2 questions. One, Rich, Benjamin falls to the 7th round. Now, I've seen go as high as the 3rd round in pre-draft mock drafts, which honestly mock drafts mean nothing to me whatsoever. And then I see them go as low as 5. But he fell to 7. What we watch this kid play, we watch him rack up the yards at ASU, rack up records at ASU. Why do you think he fell to 7? Was it just a numbers game?
Well, I think his senior season was not one to really showcase his talents. I think he did a lot for the team. They had a rookie quarterback. They had a freshman quarterback. They had 2 freshman offensive linemen. He was called upon to sacrifice more. These are conversations I had with Herm Edwards, where Herm Edwards said it showed his leadership and how good of a teammate he is, where they asked him to block more. They asked him to sacrifice more for the betterment of the team and the development of his quarterback. So when you're, a scout out there or people out there that are just looking at stats and looking at why did he have such a big drop-off from his junior season to this last season, I think that skewed his ability and the way people viewed him. But I think it should have been a testament to him. And I think in most cases, if that happens to a particular kid and your head coach is not Herm Edwards, you don't get drafted. So I think it also is a testament to Herm Edwards and that coaching staff at Arizona State that has so many NFL players that get these kids NFL ready. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Cardinals once again said, look, man, we've got a kid that has played well, that's a good teammate, that's a good character kid, that has, answered all the questions correctly at the combine, that is NFL ready at 222 in the draft. Why not get him? And then you look at the history between Arizona State and the Arizona Cardinals. This is the first Arizona State Sun Devil drafted by the Cardinals since Pat Tillman 22 years ago, and he's a 222nd pick. Give that guy number 22 and let him run, if you ask me.
Yeah, and how cool was it to see Brandon Ayuk go in the 1st round? I was kidding around with Caleb Balaj at the last name drop at the Pro Day last year, and I was saying how ASU should become running back U. Well, hell, at this rate, we might become wide receiver U if these receivers keep going in the 1st round year after year.
Yeah, or it could be NFL U, the way they're getting these guys drafted in the 1st round. I mean, if you're a kid out there and you see what ASU is putting out with the staff that they have, I mean, it would be hard to pass up a scholarship offer if you ask me. And I think Jaden Daniels, the young quarterback for Arizona State, really put out a great tweet right afterwards. He was like, 2nd year in a row, 1st-round pick, wide receiver. Who wants to come play with me now? So I think that's going to be really interesting to see how this could be used as a recruiting tool for Herm Edwards and that staff.
No, and you nailed it right there with, ASU having come with so many football players into the NFL, coming into the NFL, and, getting to see what that program's all about and developing these players. And we had the same instance with Ohio State having 3 teammates drafted in the top 3 overall. And then that's 2 occasions now. The last time that was in 1997. So, utilizing as a tool for recruiting and putting these type of programs together, and it's to work out to the advantage of these universities, to these colleges. That's going to be a great benefit, not only for ASU, Ohio State, and other schools as well.
Yeah, you really got to use that, momentum, as a recruiting tool. Look at LSU. I mean, they had 14 guys drafted this year. That's just amazing. Maybe that's why they won the national championship and had the Heisman Trophy winner and the number 1 overall pick. But just to give you an example, right? But just to give you an example, Ryan Clark was a DB for the Pittsburgh Steelers, an LSU Tiger. His son, you would think, no-brainer, go to LSU like your dad. Well, no, he actually chose Arizona State because of Herm Edwards. So that just goes to show that the direction that Arizona State is heading to is it's competing with these schools to get some talent to come out here, which is something that I always wondered why it wasn't happening. And I think, that's where you got to give, Ray Anderson and Dr. Love with Arizona State credit, because they are just doing a good job in taking it to the next level. These are kids that weren't coming here or even considering coming here until Herm Edwards gets here, and then, he goes into the living room, and the kids may not know who he is, but their parents do. And they know what he's about. And then when you see now what they're doing, and the proof is in the pudding, and you see Antonio Pierce is, on that staff, former Super Bowl champion with the Giants. Kevin Mawai is on that staff, a Hall of Famer. So Marvin Lewis is on that staff, a former NFL head coach. You can't not feel good sending your kid to that program.
I know we're talking football, Rich, but I think the job that Ray Anderson is doing in general is just fantastic, because until this season ended, ASU basketball was on the verge of going to 3 NCAA tournaments in a row, and that just doesn't happen for ASU basketball. And then they turn around and get a high prospect to come here for next season, and the wrestling team defeats Penn State that hadn't lost since, like, you and I were in junior high school. I mean, every program is doing well, and I think a lot of that is not just the individual coaches, but the vision that Ray had to put all these coaches in all these positions to succeed, and then allow them to just be themselves.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like Bobby Hurley and Herm Edwards are trading because he can get the bigger draft, a bigger recruit. It's pretty cool. And I think what you said, and I wonder, if even the Herm Edwards effect in football recruiting helps the basketball and the wrestling and the women's basketball, and the baseball. And by the way, you mentioned baseball. Spencer Torkelson's going to be the number 1 pick in the MLB draft.
Yeah.
You don't think that's going to help when it comes to recruiting? So, yeah, I think ASU has a bunch of momentum, and, not to, start up a rivalry that's already pretty heated as it is. There wasn't a single Arizona Wildcat drafted today, and I can't help but point out a tweet that an ASU Twitter handle put out where it says, "If you didn't get drafted today, you Arizona," which is what the slogan is for USA. So I thought that was pretty clever.
You know what? I love it, and I'm glad you mentioned ASU ladies basketball, because Charlie has been a staple there, and has just been consistently fantastic in what she does. But I got to ask you guys a question real quick, and like I said, of course, Richard Saenz, Fox 10 Sports here in Arizona. Did you guys hear me crying yesterday because my beloved Bears didn't have a first-round pick? But we came out of the gate strong, and even though I like our second pick in the second round, we got our 10th tight end on the team. Now, I don't know about you, but unless they change the way things go, and I know the kid from Notre Dame can play, but can you guys give me just some possible reason why anyone would have 10 tight ends on one football team?
Well, you got to protect your franchise, Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay.
Sorry.
And you got to protect your injuries, too.
I was actually crying myself yesterday. I was crying, but tears of joy just because we had something live, sports-related, to talk about. It was, we didn't have a game, but it was still like, wow, this is actually happening. It's not two guys playing video games that I'm trying to talk about. It's not the Bulls from the past or anything like that. So I think it was just nice to have sports again, and that's the one thing that has been such a unique experience with this COVID-19 pandemic is usually when something like this happens where the country or the world is in mourning or in need of something, an escape, sports is that escape. Sports is that therapy. But now we can't turn to sports because of that. So I thought that's what really made this whole pandemic super interesting and super tough to deal with, where everybody's stuck at home with their thoughts and they don't have any kind of a release, which usually sports would come to, because when you look back at 9/11, I mean, baseball, in that World Series really gave a lot of people something else to focus on other than the tragedy.
We have horse racing, so you can bet on it. You can bet on it. Well, you can bet on sport. If you can bet on it, it's a sport. You can go bet. You can go lay down a couple of daily double. When you're a little scratch. Horse racing still going on. I
was the one guy at the dog park with a cigar betting on dogs. They weren't even racing. I was just yelling at ladies walking around, come on, that dog is dogging it. And they're like, dude, I'm just trying to take my dog for a while. That's how strong I was, Paul.
No, but it was good to see and be able to talk sports again, get our minds off of COVID and just, dialing into something different and something new and, a little bit of hope. Sports is hope. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. And like you said, Rich, with 9/11 back in 2001, the World Series, and then just how it brought everybody together and in that moment. And, just even watching that game and watching that series, even to today, it still gives me chills. So I know when all of this is over, hopefully in the near future, how everybody's just going to come together and even more as we are now and be able to overcome this and just be stronger together.
Absolutely.
So, go Eno. I keep saying that. Go Eno.
So let me ask you this, Rich, with the NFL being the only sport hasn't been postponed yet, what do you see as coming back, on target, for the date that it's supposed to? Do you see that happening? What I want to get your thoughts and your take. We've talked on it on previous shows here, but I want to get your take.
Yeah, I do think the NFL and football season will start on time. I'm not sure if they'll have these, mini camps. They might have a condensed training camp, but I think, come September, we will see the National Football League kick off on time. And I think it's going to be a glorious moment. And it's something that, I always love, regardless when other sports are going on. But now that I'm, like I said, so starved for some live action, I don't know how I'm going to act. It's going to be amazing. And I think it's coming. And I think, the way this world and this country has come together to kind of combat this COVID-19. I know it's been difficult for a lot of people. Speaking personally, I've just been blessed where, I haven't had anybody in my family or inner circle affected by this. And I'm lucky enough to where I still have a job and I still have something to keep me busy. But, there are a lot of people out there that are just stuck at home, just with their thoughts and no money coming in, but the bills are still coming. And that's a tough situation to be in. So, I sympathize with everybody out there and can't wait to the time when we come to some type of normalcy. Will it ever be like it was before? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is going to change a lot of things. It's going to change sports. It's going to change the TV business. It's going to change the way we, do a lot of things. And I think it's amazing to see how when you are forced to do something, you'll get it done. The NFL had no choice but to do this draft virtually, and they pulled it off. Even us at Fox 10, we have been forced. I haven't been to the station since the last week of March, and we have been broadcasting live from our homes since then. And I just think that's amazing. If somebody would have told me when I first got in this business in the mid to late 90s, said, hey, one of these days you're going to be broadcast